So right now, 4 astronauts are at the International Space Station, part of a mission between NASA and SpaceX. The crew blasted off Friday morning on a capsule called Endeavour. This is the second time that an operational crew has flown to space from U.S. soil using a SpaceX rocket. Two of the astronauts are from America, the others from Japan and France, and they gave an update on their journey after the launch.
Hello, Earth. It's great to be back in space again after a few years for me. The ascent was incredible. The ride was really smooth. We couldn't have asked for anything better. There may have been some hooting and giggling up here while all that was going on. We hope you enjoyed the show as well.
Hooting and giggling in space. I like it. This is the third SpaceX launch in less than a year using the very same recycled rocket. Joining us now to chat about this, Jeff Faust. He's a senior staff writer for Space News. Jeff, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so the launch this week went off without a hitch. There may have been a little bit of external problems with the spacecraft. All is good. They made it up top. What's your initial reaction to SpaceX using a recycled rocket to send people into orbit?
This is really important for the future of both the government and commercial spaceflight. Reusability is the key to reducing launch costs. And if you can reduce launch costs, now you can do more. You can do more applications on the commercial side. You can do more government missions. You can do it for less money. And what we demonstrated there is that both the spacecraft and the first stage of the rocket had previously flown before and are capable of flying again.
Jeff, can you put into layman's terms the importance of having a company like SpaceX working side by side with NASA in that commercial versus government race to space?
Yeah, it's important to realize that this is a partnership, that SpaceX and NASA are cooperating. NASA has provided funding and assistance to SpaceX. SpaceX is now able to do something that only NASA, the government, used to be able to do, and that is send humans to space. And by being able to do that, that frees up NASA to do the things that are really at the cutting edge, that are really the things that only governments can do, the exploration of the moon and Mars and beyond, those sort of things that don't really yet have a commercial model, whereas human spaceflight does have a commercial model. It's something that can be handed over to the private sector at a savings to the taxpayer in the process.
SpaceX founder Elon Musk may have said to infinity and beyond, but he actually said this was all like a dream. Tell us about this 10-year path that it took to get to this point where there was 3 successful crews launched by SpaceX?
Yeah, this program is part of something, the Commercial Crew Program at NASA, and that started, as you mentioned, a decade ago. NASA has worked with several companies, including Boeing and SpaceX. Both have been developing the spacecraft to be able to take people to space. SpaceX, as you mentioned, has now done it 3 times in less than a year, in May and November of last year, and then this launched last week. Boeing is still working on their spacecraft. They hope to get a test flight later this year and then start sending people to space either at the end of this year or early next year. And then we'll have 2 companies, 2 means of getting to the space station through these commercial partners.
What's the mission for this crew that just went up?
They're going to continue doing the research that's been taking place on the space station for years. And there's a lot of scientific research. There's also just the process of learning how to live and work in space and testing some of the technologies that we'll need when we go back to the moon later this decade and then go to Mars in the next decade. So they really have a full plate ahead of them over the next 6 months of their mission, carrying out all of that research and keeping the space station operating.
All right, Jeff, a lot of talk over the last recent years about commercial space travel. Everybody raising their hand. I want to be next. I want to get up there. How soon would this be a reality? How long could you stay? And when could this happen?
You know, it's interesting. The next SpaceX Crew Dragon mission, the carrying people, will actually be a commercial mission. It's scheduled for launch in September. It's called Inspiration 4. It's going to carry 4 private people into space. They're not going to go to the space station. They're just going to go into orbit for a few days, look at Earth, float around in weightlessness, have some fun, come back down. You know, it's opening up possibilities like that through this Commercial Crew Program. So it's not just NASA as a customer, but these private customers as well. And there are companies talking about doing commercial modules that will be added to the space station that could be used for tourists or could be used for other private spaceflight people, researchers and such. You know, and eventually commercial space stations. The International Space Station won't last forever. Hopefully we've got at least another decade of operations for the space station ahead of us. But at some point we want to be able to have a commercial space station, or maybe space stations, plural, that that astronauts and private space flyers can go to, again, as NASA focuses on that cutting edge exploration of going back to the moon, going on to Mars and elsewhere in the solar system.
Jeff Faust, thank you so much.
Thank you.